Pro-Chancellor, High Officers of the University, civic representatives, graduands and guests, on behalf of the chapter and whole community here at Guildford Cathedral, may I welcome you most warmly this afternoon to this graduation. It's a time of celebration of a lot of hard work, accomplishment and achievement, and we want to join our celebrations with yours today. You are all most welcome here.
Pro-Chancellor, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, graduands. As Vice-Chancellor of the University of Surrey, it is my very great pleasure to welcome you all to this magnificent setting of Guildford Cathedral for the degree conferment ceremony for the Faculty of Business, Economics and Law. On behalf of the University and my colleagues, I would like to take this opportunity to offer my warmest congratulations to all our students graduating today. We are delighted to be here to celebrate with you on this special day, and I hope that you can take great personal satisfaction in completing your studies. It is truly an immense achievement. I would like to also take a moment to address a few words to another important group well represented here today, the partners, family and friends of our graduating students. Success is rarely achieved without the emotional, moral and financial support of those close to us. We know that over the long journey from the first decision about coming to Surrey to this event today, your support has been essential, so to you a special thank you. So what was all that hard work for, and what does it mean to you as a graduate today? We know from the various student surveys you've answered during the year that many of you choose further study to improve your career prospects. It is true that employers today are seeking better qualified candidates than ever before, and in today's shrinking job market, your postgraduate qualification will provide you with many clear benefits and advantages. A recent report by the Council for Industry and Higher Education found that as well as the deeper subject-specific knowledge, employers value the analytical thinking and problem-solving skills that postgraduates bring, as well as the ideas and innovation they can introduce into their business. A postgraduate qualification also demonstrates your ability to think independently and work towards a goal. It proves to prospective employers that you have the determination, tenacity, and the ability to learn to a much higher level. I've often been asked as a Vice-Chancellor what I feel was the greatest benefit I got from my time as a student at university. It wasn't until I'd completed my postgraduate degree that I really understood that I'd learned how to learn and its true value. This may sound strange, but learning skills give you the confidence to tackle and overcome any challenge, and it's a skill you can apply to all domains. When I was first offered a job as a chief executive in industry earlier in my career, I used my learning capabilities to extend my knowledge of business and management to be able to apply it in a meaningful way. As a postgraduate student from Surrey, you can stand out from the crowd even further as you take the next step in your career. A Surrey qualification is a very highly regarded one both nationally and internationally, and it is no coincidence that we have a consistently outstanding employment record. Since its foundations in London over 120 years ago, Surrey has built a first-class reputation for its international engagement with business and industry. Indeed, in this faculty, the newly created Associate Dean of Entrepreneurship and Innovation is helping to drive our work with major international companies, creating new opportunities for our students to gain valuable experience across all industries. Surrey's collaborative research network with some of the best universities in the world is harnessing some of the most advanced thinking in many areas that have real-world impact. In this faculty, for example, research by the School of Hospitality and Tourism Management has led to the launch of the European Tourism Indicator System to assess the sustainability of tourism destinations across Europe, with many destinations across Europe already signed up to using the system. Surrey has an outstanding reputation for innovation in tourism research, and again has been ranked #1 in the UK across all the major league tables. I'm delighted that we are able to welcome Mr. Christopher Rodriguez, Chair of the Visit Britain here, to receive an honorary doctorate. As leader of one of the UK's growth industries, Christopher's success and vision supports and works hand in hand with our own continued success. Many of you sitting here today have had the opportunity to be involved in projects such as this, enabling you to develop real skills and real experience, and employers value this. So as you stand at the gate to your bright future, we hope you'll remain proud of the university you leave behind. A university that continues to excel in the UK league tables, especially in the Guardian, where we're now ranked 12th in the country. A university that continues to attract more high-achieving students than ever before, and in spite of the challenge of the new fees environment, we met our undergraduate recruitment targets this year, and like many other highly ranked universities, a real measure of the calibre of what Surrey has to offer. And indeed, this year we've already seen a 30% increase in applications once again to come to the university. We're a university whose research activities continue to strengthen and gain increased international recognition. As a result, we are attracting the best academic staff around the globe, and in this faculty alone, 14 new academic staff have joined us since the start of this academic year. To be a world-class university means never standing still, and we have recently announced 2 projects that will further enhance our academic and research offering. Surrey's funding win to create a new research hub to take global leadership in the 5th generation mobile communications, and our plans to establish a new veterinary school, one of only 8 in the UK, can only help to cement our status as a leading national and international university. I would like to finish by saying to all our graduates that I hope that you and your guests enjoy today's celebrations and they provide a fitting end to this chapter of your career. Graduation is a defining moment in your life, and we trust you will leave Surrey with very happy memories, lasting friendships, and a real sense of achievement. Thank you. Pro-Chancellor, I call upon Professor Graham Miller to present Mr. Christopher Rodriguez for the degree of Doctor of the University honoris causa.
Pro-Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, honorary graduate, ladies and gentlemen, and most importantly, graduands. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you today to Christopher Rodriguez, CBE. Since January 2007, Christopher has been chairman of Visit Britain, the national tourism agency of the country and the body charged with attracting more overseas tourists to visit the UK. The last 6 years have been a period of unprecedented opportunity for the UK tourism industry, with the Queen's Diamond Jubilee, the fabulously successful London Olympics, the Commonwealth Games to come in Glasgow in 2014, and the Rugby World Cup in 2015. It's a sign of Christopher's status as a business leader that he's been entrusted with running the UK tourism industry through this period. For those in the audience who are perhaps not aware of the scale of tourism in the UK, its direct and indirect contributions to UK GDP are £115 billion per year. It's responsible for 8.9% of UK GDP, around 2.6 million jobs. That's 1 in 12 jobs, or perhaps 1 student at least for every row in the audience today, will owe its position to the UK tourism industry. This makes tourism the 3rd largest industrial sector in the UK, contributing over £3 billion to the exchequer annually. As a nation brand, the UK is 3rd of all countries in the world, behind the US and Germany. We're the 7th most visited country on the planet and punch well above our weight. At a time of widespread financial gloom, tourism is undoubtedly a bright spot in our economic future, and it's led by Christopher Rodriguez. Christopher read economic history at Cambridge, competing victoriously in the 1970 and 1971 boat race cruise, then completed his MBA at Harvard. He worked for the management consultancy McKinsey, and there was apologetically told that unfortunately and with regret his next project would be in the tourism industry. This was with American Express. Christopher completed that assignment and went on to join American Express, then going on to become Group CEO for the tour operator Thomas Cook. Christopher has continued to move between tourism and finance, becoming Group CEO of Bradford and Bingley Building Society and being a founding non-executive director of the Financial Services Authority, both of which Christopher maintains were in good shape when he left them. However, as with all the academics, the tourism academics in the cathedral today will testify, once the travel bug gets into you, it's hard to shake. And Christopher missed the international business arena and moved to San Francisco to become president and CEO of Visa International, responsible for over 10% of their worldwide expenditure and making it the most profitable part of the business in the process. Beyond Christopher's stellar management and leadership career, he has a reputation for being an absolute gentleman. The first time I met Christopher, one of my colleagues had invited him to speak with our undergraduate students at Surrey. However, my colleague is a tourism academic, so was out of the country on that day, and asked me if I would deputise for him and meet with Christopher. I was a new lecturer at Surrey at the time, with neither standing nor significance, so I was fairly nervous at the prospect of facilitating a session with the head of our national tourism body. My nerves suffered a rather larger jolt when I received a call from reception to say that because of a misunderstanding over timing, Christopher had arrived 2 hours early for the lecture, and could I come to collect him from reception. But Christopher came into my office, he sat down, he switched off his phone, he switched off his email, and he talked genuinely with me about my research, what we were doing at Surrey, and how Visit Britain and Surrey might work together to tackle some of our common challenges. Last week, well actually until this morning, Christopher and I were talking again, but this time in Abu Dhabi. We were listening to former US President Bill Clinton talk about how the tourism industry can help with many of the serious challenges facing the planet. It's this ability to move between countries, languages, environments, people and positions that really mark Christopher, not only as a leader of the highest standing, but also as a man of distinction. It's for these reasons, Pro-Chancellor, and for his indelible contributions to tourism, that it gives me great pleasure to present Christopher Rodriguez, CBE, as eminently worthy of the degree of Doctor of the University, honoris causa.
In the name and authority of the University of Surrey, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of the University, honoris causa.
Pro-Chancellor, I would now like to call on Dr. Christopher Rodriguez to address the congregation.
Pro-Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, members of the faculty, fellow graduates, guests. If I may start by saying it's a real pleasure to see such an international audience. Firstly, to recognize that you see in this university what this country can offer. And secondly, because you've all brought your families here, so my numbers will be up this week. When my family learned that it was customary for the recipient of an honorary doctorate to address the audience, my daughter cautioned me against taking the Oscar acceptance speech as a role model, either in length or histrionics. You'll be glad to hear that after living with her for 28 years, I have learned it is most unwise to ignore her advice. But allow me one Oscar-like moment to start. It gives me great pleasure to accept this singular honor from the country's top-ranked tourism and hospitality management school. On behalf of all of my colleagues at American Express, Thomas Cook, and Visit Britain, from whose insight, wisdom, and service ethic I have learned almost everything I know on the subject. And I would be remiss not to give a particular vote of thanks to Tommaso Zanzotto, who inducted me into the world of travel and tourism, and cultivated my love of this extraordinary global industry. Now, this is an industry in which Britain and the British have played a leading role from day one. The world's first passenger railway from Liverpool to Manchester opened for business in 1830, after George Stephenson's rocket won the Rainhill trials. Within 21 years, Thomas Cook had invented the through ticket to unify the fragmented British railway system, and in 1851 delivered over 165,000 people to the Great Exhibition, without either an iPad or a mobile phone to manage the logistics. Isambard Kingdom Brunel built the GWR, or God's Wonderful Railway as it became known, and he revolutionized steam shipping with the Great Eastern. The White Star Line out of Liverpool held the blue ribbon for many years at the end of the 19th century on the transatlantic route, before it gained the somewhat unwanted notoriety of the maiden voyage of the Titanic. But even that has a happy ending, if you can, because that story is now wonderfully brought to life in the new Titanic exhibition in Belfast. And some 30 years after the Wright brothers first flew at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina in 1903, Imperial Airways began to connect the far-flung parts of the British Empire by air. Though it's scary to remember that in those days it took nearly a month to get from Croydon to Brisbane. In the whole decade of the 1930s, Imperial Airways carried only 50,000 people. So it is still a surprise to some how fast the world of travel and tourism has expanded. In 2012, there were more than 1 billion international travelers for the first time in our history. And to give you a reference point of the true scale of the industry, domestic travel is nearly 6 times the size of inbound travel in a country like the UK. This is already the world's largest industry. As Graham said, it now employs 1 in every 11 people. And it is extraordinarily resilient, growing at 4% a year, pretty much through thick and thin. Travel is no longer seen as a privilege. It has become both a right and a rite of passage as democracy spreads across the world. One of the more extraordinary experiences I had was standing with the tourism minister of the Veneto in Venice soon after the Berlin Wall had come down, when he told me that 50,000 East Europeans had arrived the previous week by coach to celebrate the fact that they could. The industry is Britain's 5th biggest employer, 3rd biggest foreign exchange earner, and here's an interesting fact for the Prime Minister: supplied 40% of all the new jobs created in this country since 2009. In a world in which youth unemployment is a major concern, tourism is definitely part of the solution. So it is entirely fitting that in the University of Surrey we have not only the UK's leading school of tourism and hospitality management, but a centre of excellence attracting so many highly qualified students from around the world. My one lament is that the wider British educational system still does not take the career opportunities in this resilient industry more seriously. From frontline service positions that have no gender bias and look for service skills over and above academic excellence, to a plethora of management positions that give autonomy and accountability at an early age, to global industry positions that call for a world-class combination of people skills, managerial prowess, and leadership wisdom. The job and career opportunities are unrivaled. And I hope many of you will be